So what if climate change isn't, just an environmental risk anymore? What if it's actually become like the core operating system for global geopolitics?
That's a really striking way to think about it.
Yeah, our sources are showing these climate pressures are now deeply woven into defense planning.
And resource security, too. It's all connected.
Exactly, shaping conflicts in ways maybe we weren't fully expecting.
It really is. And when you look at recent events.
With the war in Ukraine.
Yeah, exactly. The Ukraine conflict, or reports about the UK rethinking tactical nukes.
Right, and that huge surge in defense spending across Europe.
These aren't isolated things. Our sources basically see them as symptoms of this systemic climate resource stress. It's being securitized.
Securitized. Okay, let's break that down. What does that really mean for people listening?
Well, it means these environmental pressures, resource scarcities, they're now treated as fundamental national security issues.
Got it.
And today, we'll unpack what that shift actually means for you and, how it's reshaping the world around us.
Okay, let's start right there with Ukraine. Our sources call it a prime example of a climate and resource war. Now, many see it through, traditional geopolitical lenses. What are those traditional views missing?
What's really fascinating, and frankly often overlooked, is that Russia's assault isn't just about grabbing territory in the old sense.
Right.
It's fundamentally about seizing prime arable land, especially in the south and east. And potential lithium reserves, too. Ukraine could have been a top 10 global supplier,
Wow, I didn't realize it was that significant.
Oh, yeah. Plus vital energy transit points. And think about the weaponization of the Black Sea grain exports.
That hit headlines everywhere.
Exactly. It sent bread prices soaring in places like Cairo, Lagos, Dhaka. It just showed how incredibly fragile global food flows are when a key choke point gets militarized.
So when peace talks focus only on borders.
They miss these deeper resource-driven motives.
Absolutely. So if fertile land, water, minerals, if that's the new strategic currency, like you're saying, what does a durable peace even look like in this, hotter, more resource-strained world?
That's the critical question, isn't it? Durable peace needs more than just lines on a map. It demands a sort of robust resource architecture.
Resource architecture.
Yeah, things like secure Black Sea corridors for grain, maybe internationally backing Ukraine's mineral wealth to prevent future smash-and-grab tactics.
Makes sense.
And recasting energy grids westward, moving away from those old dependencies, without these kinds of resource security guarantees built in.
Then the underlying reasons for conflict just remain.
Exactly. The fundamental pressures, especially on a place like Ukraine with its resources, they'll persist even if the shooting stops for a while.
Let's shift gears a bit. The sources point to a really interesting adaptation in global security. NATO allies moving towards 3.5% GDP defense spending. That's a big jump.
Historic, yeah.
And they're explicitly linking it to climate and resource wars. So beyond just, more money for tanks or jets, what does this new focus actually look like on the ground?
Well, that shift is significant, and it seems to align with those reports about the UK's nuclear reset.
It's a tactical nukes idea.
Right. Reportedly re-examining them as maybe a kind of climate-era insurance. The thinking might be, a more flexible deterrent against localized resource conflicts escalating.
A signal of resolve without going all the way.
Perhaps. And across Europe, this increased spending isn't just for traditional military hardware. It's also going into grid resilience, securing critical mineral supply chains, building up food stockpiles.
So plugging the gaps revealed by recent crises.
Precisely. It's a stark reminder of how quickly these sort of long-term climate trends are now shaping immediate security policy and headlines. It forces nations to adapt.
Okay, let's bring this closer to home. North America. Our sources describe it as a fortress with fractures. What does that mean for us here? How does it connect?
Well, North America definitely has big advantages, resource-wise. Water, for example. But it's not immune. Look at Canada.
Okay.
They boosted defense spending, sure, aligning with NATO. But internally, they're facing a real backlash over immigration levels, largely because of housing shortages. It's forcing them to recalibrate policy.
So internal pressures.
Exactly. And cities like Toronto or London or New York, our sources call them frontline peer cities.
Frontline cities?
Yeah, these huge global hubs dealing directly with both migration pressures and climate shocks. Things like extreme heat, flooding, often hitting at the same time. Toronto might have water, but affordability issues and political fragility, if those housing and immigration strains keep up, those are fractures.
And even within the U.S.
We're seeing internal climate migration, too, putting pressure on cities like Denver, Boise, fractures inside the fortress itself.
And these domestic challenges you're highlighting, the housing, the immigration tensions, they seem to point towards a really crucial question about, well, the future of stability, maybe even democracy itself.
Indeed. What the sources seem to reveal is this trend of wealthy states building effectively climate fortresses, selective immigration, secured supply chains, that sort of thing.
Right.
But this exposes a potentially dangerous gap. Governments are busy securitizing climate, right? Preparing for these big geopolitical shifts.
While the public
often feels the immediate economic pinch, rising housing costs, food prices, job anxieties linked to these same shifts.
Yeah.
That disconnect, that divergence between elite adaptation strategies and the lived experience of the masses.
That could be destabilizing.
It could profoundly destabilize democracies if it's not addressed. That's a huge challenge for you, the citizen, to grapple with.
Okay, so let's try to pull these threads together. Our sources are basically saying climate wars aren't some future dystopia. They're kind of already here. Conflicts driven by fertile land, minerals, export routes.
That seems to be the assessment, yes. And NATO's trajectory, that spending increase, signals that climate adaptation and deterrence are merging into one big security project.
And North America, while looking like a fortress with its resources.
It has those internal fractures, yeah. Housing, immigration pressures, they need careful management. The key takeaway, really, for you listening, is that any lasting peace anywhere has to build in these resource security guarantees now.
Otherwise, the root causes just won't go away.
Exactly. They'll just keep simmering.
So, reflecting on all this, what stands out most to you about how our world is trying to handle these tangled crises?
And maybe a final thought for you to take away. If these adaptation strategies, the ones governments and elites are pursuing, drift too far apart from the daily reality, the economic and social lives of ordinary people, well, can our democracies actually sustain that gap in this new climate geopolitical age?